Welcome to Midday Meditation. There are many things that one can do in meditation, and we try to sample a wide variety of techniques and go for a wide variety of outcomes. And one important practice that we can do in Raja Yoga meditation is train the mind to think better. Now, some forms of meditation, we try to not think, because the mind is more peaceful if we're not thinking. But in Raja Yoga, we use our thoughts because we want to train the mind to have high quality thoughts, to think in a better way. And so we practice that when we meditate. We practice having good quality thoughts. And if we have kind of in the back of the mind, what are the ingredients of good thinking, then we can check ourselves from time to time during the day. And especially if I find that my mind is racing or my mind is getting very perturbed or upset, then I can check and I can see, where is my thinking process not working right? And as I said yesterday, we want to fill the mind. We want to start a thinking process with peace, the energy of peace and the energy of love. And the energy of peace is what prevents my mind from racing or prevents my mind from jumping to conclusions and then panicking. We do a lot of thinking in the panic mode. And so, if we can practice peace, this is a way of training the mind to think peacefully. We get better results if we think peacefully. And also, as I said yesterday, it's very good to frequently fill the mind with love, because otherwise we get our thinking is about what we want. I want this, I want that, I want you to do this, I want this to happen. And we tend to get controlling and manipulative, and also our thinking gets very narrow. So if we can start the thinking process with love, we can work out what to do, what to pay attention to, all of these without that neediness, which creates dependency. If there's dependency in my thinking, I'm always on the verge of panic because I might not get what I'm making myself dependent on. So if I start with loving thoughts, that I'm here, I, the soul, am here in this planet to do good, to be good, to share good with others, then the dependency goes away. I'm not a consumer. Although the body definitely has to consume, I, the soul, am not a consumer. I'm not going to live my life from the perspective of being a consumer, because that's what makes me controlling and manipulative and greedy, even, and it leads to dependency and panic. So, actually, most of the problems that we face are created by our own thinking. Something can be a problem for me, and for you, it's perfectly okay. It's because of my thinking that I've made it into a problem. So we want our thinking to be, we want to be good observers. We want to be solution oriented in our thinking. We want to be appreciative in our thinking. We want to be able to access our good qualities. And so all of this starts with being a spiritual being, the awareness that I'm a soul. This is always the first step. Then the second step, we invoke the energy of peace so that I don't get into panic thinking. And then the third step, I invoke the energy of love so that I don't get into dependency in my thinking. So, three simple steps that we practice in Raja Yoga, which over time changes the way I think. We're teaching ourselves to think in different ways. And this is what we'll practice together today. To begin with, take a few deep, full, slow breaths. Watch the air enter and leave the lungs. And appreciate how dependable and reliable the breath is, how easy it is to breathe. Appreciate how much the body benefits from breathing. And so we inhale with appreciation, and we also exhale with appreciation. And appreciation always makes us light. Appreciation makes us forget about our desires and our expectations. Just appreciate what is, and that makes the soul light. Now bring your awareness to the inner being, the being of light. I am the peaceful soul who lives in this body. And I manage my life by thinking. I manage both my inner life, which is what I understand, what I choose to pay attention to, what's important to me. I manage all of that by thinking. And I also manage my outer life by thinking. Where am I going? What am I doing? When do I need to do it? Thinking is such an important process, and yet we don't give it very much attention. So in Raja Yoga, we train the mind to think well. And we start with the awareness that the mind is an aspect of the soul, or you could say an energy of the soul, or you could say an ability of the soul. Each soul has a mind. And therefore, since it's part of the soul, it's completely under my control. It's not so easy to control it because it's been free to do what it wants for a long time. But we do have the ability to control the mind. And that's because the soul also has an ability called the intellect. The intellect is the part of the soul that can understand, that can see things in new ways, that can evaluate if something is true or false or worthwhile or useless. That's another function of the intellect. The intellect can also make a plan, even a very elaborate plan. These are all functions of the intellect. So the intellect has what we call reasoning power. And the role of the intellect actually is to control the mind. Now, we don't control our mind, and yet we try to use our intellects to control other people. But that's not the way that the soul has been designed. Intellect is to control the mind. So, first of all, the intellect makes sure that I'm aware that it's I, the soul, who is thinking. I, the eternal being of goodness. I, the being of light, who came here from a dimension of light. This is the one who is thinking, not the brain, although I certainly use the brain, but it's not the brain that's thinking. It's the soul. The mind is a part of the soul. So this is the first role of the intellect, to remind myself over and over again that it's I, the soul, who am thinking or remembering or perceiving or believing. The soul. And then the second step, then, thinking works best when the mind is peaceful. So the next step is to bring the awareness deeply within. Spend just a few moments in silence, absolute silence, because this is how we invoke the energy of peace, in silence, inner silence. And then let that energy of peace flow into the mind. So whatever thought comes into the mind is going to receive that thought peacefully. And if the mind starts to feel agitated, or there's panic, or I feel like I'm being upset, then I have to stop thinking, go back within to the deep inner place, and bring out more peace. Because if I try to think when I'm agitated, my thinking is going to be irrational, meaning I'm blocking the good sense of the intellect. If the mind starts thinking rapidly, or there's panic, or there's fear, the ego takes over, the intellect gets blocked. And the ego cannot connect with peace or love or wisdom, even. And so it's as if all my wisdom is gone. Even my common sense is gone when the ego takes over my thinking. So we want to fill the mind with peace. I'm a peaceful soul. I live peacefully in this body. I think peacefully. It's okay with me, whatever is going on. It's probably none of my business. Let me not think about anything that's not my business. My business is my own inner world, first of all. How I feel, my positive attitude, my willingness to accept others. This is my responsibility. Also, my immediate responsibilities, how I use the body, how I use my time, how I use my money and my material resources. This is my responsibility. But it's usually not my responsibility to manage other people, usually. So, no need to have thoughts about others. However, if they come into my mind, I have good wishes. So now we get to the second quality, which the intellect has to make sure is present in thinking. And the second quality is love. First of all, love for myself. So many things I have to think about every day. If I can just put love into my thinking, I will spread so much love. I'll feel so much love. And love takes away the neediness, the expectations, the dependencies, the sources of suffering. Sometimes we suffer simply because the soul is not experiencing love. So it's better to generate the energy of love. Sometimes whatever is going on may be perfectly okay, but it looks like it's wrong because I'm not experiencing love. So the intellect gives the reminder, touch the place of love. Let the energy of love flow. And then with these two energies, peace and love, we can think about anything. We probably will not think about trivial things because when we feel love, we don't need distractions. And we probably won't have critical thoughts because when the mind is peaceful, we're okay with everything. When the mind is loving, we don't want anything. We feel powerful, powerful in peace, powerful in love. And with these powers, our energy and our interest go towards what can I contribute? What can I create? What can I add? We see ourselves as resourceful and creative. Mm. And our thinking becomes creative when the soul is filled with peace and love. Thinking is such an amazing process. So much good can come out of thinking. But the thinking has to start with the right foundation. And also, we often think about other people because we like company. We souls prefer company. And so, if there isn't another human being around, we'll think about someone. But the soul can also think about the Supreme Soul, who is actually the best companion. Because the Supreme Soul never gives us a hard time, never disagrees with us even when we're wrong, never tries to control or manipulate us, is always available. Let yourself, the tiny soul, be drawn close to the Supreme Soul, the Supreme Being of Light, the one who is silent, peaceful, accepting, the one who is powerful in a very gentle way. Let yourself be drawn towards that being, because the soul likes company. So let's have the company of another soul, a supremely benevolent soul. A soul who doesn't think very much, who only has purposeful thoughts, and a soul who only has benevolent thoughts, loving thoughts, peaceful thoughts. Let me be drawn into the stillness and the silence of that being. And then the mind becomes quiet. If there's nothing that I have to think about, let the mind be quiet and still. Just enjoy being. Enjoy knowing that we came from a dimension of light. And enjoy knowing that the Supreme Parent is always there, always benevolent. Just knowing this makes the soul feel secure and happy. No need to think, just be aware. Aware of my own eternity. Aware of the many invisible ways that God helps me. Aware of my own goodness. This is a form of subtle thinking, just being aware. Now bring your awareness back into the body you inhabit. Hold the awareness of yourself, a being of peace and love. And hold the awareness that you have an intellect, and the intellect can manage your thinking process very well. However, it takes constant attention. And also, blessings help. So we get a blessing today. I think this will be our blessing today. The blessing says, with pure intent, you listen to the song of your own heart and allow it to guide your actions. With pure intent, you listen to the song of your own heart and let it guide your actions. So the heart of the soul means the place of truth. Om Shanti. Thank you for joining. And just a reminder that this coming Saturday, using this same Zoom link, we have a workshop on spiritual power, and it will be at 11 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Pacific Time. You're all welcome to join. Okay. And Mary,
Shanti.
Om Shanti. Mary, you will recognize the presenter, I think it's Sister Asmi from Seattle.
Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday. Saturday. Yeah. Is that a working day for you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday.
Okay. All right. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.